Hey guys, welcome back to the Athlete Mobility Blueprint. So in this video, we're going to talk about injuries and we're going to talk about how mobility is strength training just in your end ranges. All right, so how do we get injured? Injuries happen when load, so forces acting upon our joints, is greater than capacity, so our joint's ability to resist this force. And when that happens, we have an injury. So it could be a muscle tear, or it could be a strained ligament, or it could be a torn tendon or a broken bone, or a combination of all of these things. So that's how injuries happen. So to avoid injury, we've got two options. We can either decrease the load, or we can increase our capacity. So the decreasing the load option, that would be something like you're getting pain when you're running and you're jumping, so you just never run or jump again for the rest of your life. Another example of decreasing load would be people telling you lift with your legs, not with your back. So your whole life you're telling me you're going to lift with a perfectly neutral spine and lift with your legs and not bend over? Does that really sound like it's a possibility? So what's a better option? Increase our capacity. So instead of saying your back's super weak, so how about we never use our back muscles? Let's get our back stronger in more ranges of motion. And instead of never running and jumping again, why don't we work on our running technique and strengthen our muscles and tendons and ligaments around our knees and train smart, so don't do too much running too soon, and increase that capacity so now it takes a lot more load for us to experience any pain or any injury. All right, guys, just another thing I want to talk about with injuries is the two different types. So we can have chronic injuries or we can have acute injuries. So an acute injury is one instance of that load being greater than our capacity. So say for example, we're sprinting and we tear a hamstring. In that moment, the force was greater than our hamstring's capacity to resist it, and we have a tear. Now, a chronic injury is little bits of force over time. So say for example, you're back squatting every day and you're going heavy all the time and you're not resting enough. Over time, that might be too much force for the tendons in your knees, and you can end up with pain like a tendonitis. So those are two different types of injuries. Okay, so how do we do this? How do we increase our capacity? Well, the only way of doing that is strength training, progressive overload. So just like if we're trying to improve our back squat and we're going about it in a smart way, we're going to work somewhere between, say, 70 and 100% of our 1 rep max. We're going to make sure we get enough rest in between our training sessions. And over time, our capacity is going to increase and we can squat more. The exact same thing with our ranges of motion and our mobility training. So when we first acquire more flexibility, we don't have much strength or control there. But by using progressive overload, we can build that strength and add that strength and control in, so now these ranges of motion are usable and not just passive, and we're stronger there. So what doesn't work is passive inputs. So what do I mean by that? I mean foam rollers, lacrosse balls, acupuncture, dry needling, ultrasound. None of those things are going to increase your capacity to resist load. So none of those things are gonna prevent injury. Now, I'm not saying those things are bad. There is a time and place for them. They do make you feel better. They may get you out of pain. They may temporarily allow you more range of motion so that you can then strength train and get that progressive overload in there. But because they're passive inputs, if that's all you're doing, it is never going to be enough. It's never going to make a difference. All right, guys, I think that's just about all I had to say on injuries and how mobility is strength training. Let me know if you have any questions about that, and I will see you guys in the next video.